The Cuban political situation had not been indifferent to the rest of the world since their final emancipation 61 years ago. The island has been the scene of an openly communist and anti-imperialist government, 90 miles away from the US, its former colonizer. To understand Cuban politics, it is necessary to take a look at the past, where reiterative subjugation and resistance processes have defined the root of Cuban modern history since the first conqueror's arrival to the island. The Spanish from 1492, the slavers until the 19th century, the US government from 1898, and the subsequent dictatorships have all found resistance from Cuban people, represented by crucial figures like Carlos Manuel Céspedes or José Martí, claiming freedom and sovereignty for the island, and who inspired the revolution that in 1959 meant a drastic change in the Cuban political and economic system. Since then, only 3 people from the Communist Party have led the country: Fidel Castro until 2008, his brother Raúl until 2018, and currently Miguel Díaz-Canel. This fact has continuously called into question the Cuban democratic character and its human rights situation. Today, the 2019's new constitution sheds light on a 70s socialist project that seeks to update. According to the constitution, Cuba is a democratic, independent, and sovereign socialist state of law and social justice, still guided by the independence and revolutionary ideas of José Martí and Fidel Castro, and the Marx, Engels, and Lenin postulates.
The political system is still defined as one-party system where the constitution recognizes as legal only the Cuban Communist Party, whose first secretary is Raúl Castro with the highest state post. The political organization is distinguishable because the party is not a subject of electoral process, but from it the main part of the political system is formed. The only Cuban elections that offer to the people choice of more than one candidate per office are those for municipal assemblies. Furtherly, the national and the provincial assemblies are formed from the local delegates from the municipal ones, and in turn the National Assembly is responsible for arranging the overall state political system. The National Assembly is the supreme organ and has legislative and constituent power, while the executive duties belong to the President, Miguel Díaz-Canel, the Council of the State and the Council of the Ministers. In the new constitution, the position of the Prime Minister is restored. The Supreme Court has the maximum judicial powers and is elected by the National Assembly. In terms of domestic situation, the private sector of Cuba has been growing significantly over the past years. State property is still central under the Cuban socialist system. However, the new constitution now recognizes that private ownership of some means of production is playing a complementary role in the economy. In a study called Cuban Data from 2018, conducted among the Cuban citizens, many perceive as problematic the ban for Cubans to be contracted by foreign firms, the dual currency existing for more than 20 years, the recent cutbacks in the country's budget for the health and educational sectors. As for its relations with Latin America, Cuba has been a beacon for the alternative governments of the region and a regime for those more conservative. However, Cuban foreign policy seeks a relationship of solidarity and support among Latin American countries. The most recent example was its support for the peace process in Colombia in 2016. The Cuba-US relation has been defined by tension and mistrust. During Fidel's rule, the ties between the two countries endured persistent ideological hostilities: the Cuban Missile Crisis, the US embargo. After many years of antagonism, the cabinet of Raúl and Obama made a step towards normalization. However, with the Trump presidency, the process has been frozen.
Regarding human rights, the US embargo has direct implications for the Cuban population. The high cost for indispensable agro-industrial products threaten the food security of its inhabitants. Besides, the ban on importing medicines from the US, the region's leader in the drug market, creates risk on Cubans' right to health. In general, the human rights situation in Cuba has been the subject of lengthy debate. On the one hand, the island has achieved social welfare levels for its citizens that are the antithesis of the endemic inequality that characterized most Latin America. The country has been internationally recognized for its special commitment to social rights. However, this fundamental conquest for the socialist political system has been overshadowed by the restriction of public and civil liberties, the persistent violation of human rights such as freedom of press and expression, trade of union freedoms or association freedom, and a lack of proper attention to groups like Afro-Cuban, women, LGTB population, or prisoners.